So when it comes to selling on Amazon, and especially as a new beginner, one of the quickest things that you'll realize is how many categories there is when it comes to selling on Amazon. And so as a beginner, or maybe you're just kind of, going through the business and whatnot, you're kind of thinking to yourself, what are the best categories? What are the most profitable categories? Which category should I actually put my focus on when I'm trying to, scale my Amazon business? And so guys, on this video, I'm gonna go over, basically some of the different profit statistics, some of the different ways, headaches that it comes when it comes to certain categories, and really just everything else in between, because anybody could tell you, oh, this and this are the best categories, but let's actually go deeper on, why some of these categories may be better or why some of them might be worse. And really, when it comes to categories, it just comes down to your personal preference. But let's get straight into it, guys. Drop a comment down below, smash the like button, and subscribe if you are interested in more content just like this one. Alright guys, so when it comes to categories, let's get one myth out of the way that everybody seems to always ask when it comes to the Amazon space. And that is, what is the most profitable category, right? Which one is better versus others? And the truth is, guys, is that they're all profitable. I mean, whether it's clothing and apparel, groceries, dog supplies, whatever it may be, every single category is profitable, alright? There's no such thing as one is better than the other. Now, of course, each category is different in how you actually make your profit. So let's start with the clothing, apparel category, shoes, whatever you want to call it. So when it comes to this category specifically, it seems to be very beginner friendly nowadays, which is crazy because back in the days, it was like the gold mine to, finding like Nike stuff and whatnot. And nowadays, it seems like every beginner is, starting in this category. One of the quickest things that a lot of you will realize when you're in this category is, is dealing with high ISP products, all right? Meaning that when you sell these products, they're at a much higher, price point. So you could be selling something for like 50, 70, 90, 100, 200 bucks, right? So that means your average selling price is much more higher compared to like something else like groceries, beauty. It might be like 10, 15, 20 bucks or so. It just really depends too. But, now, of course, normally in the clothing apparel category, you're about to make more profit margins per unit, right? So you should be making at least 20 bucks, 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever that may be. And, which is good because at a glance, you're like, oh, okay, I just need to sell, 10 of these shoes and I'll make 500 bucks profit very easily, right? And you would think that's how it goes. But, for a lot of you, you realize, oh, crap, I sold, 10 of them, and then like 5 of them ended up being returned because it didn't fit right, wasn't the right color, wasn't the right size. I mean, just, all that crap, right? And so, your, 500 bucks that you sold ends up being like half of that. Not to mention that all the fees that you still have to pay just to have them returned, customers don't return them correctly, you end up with some damages, wrong product. You're actually out more money than you were trying to put in. And, you really end up screwing yourself over if you're not very careful in this category. And so, when you want to get into this category, guys, just be very thoughtful of the return rate when it comes to this category specifically. Because, yeah, the margins may be high and you may be making like 50 bucks per unit. But if you get a return or two, I mean, that profit goes away like immediately. So it's important to make sure that your margins, make up basically for any returns that you do get in this category. And really just, being careful, because some customers are shady, sadly, and yeah, you will get a bunch of return crap and garbage that you have to dispose of, remove, whatever it may be, donate and all that good shit. So yeah, when it comes to this category, be very careful. I know when I see people posting that they sell in this category alone, I'm just like, damn, they're about to have a crap load of returns. So, but yeah, so you got to be careful, okay? Because this category can make or break you, all right? So that's one thing that you guys really need to consider is the categories that you're selling in and some of the thought processes when it comes to, how you're selling. Clothing and apparel comes with a lot of headaches, and if you guys are not ready to handle that, this category may not be for you. So now let's go into another category, all right? Let's go into groceries, all right? Groceries, to me, it's a wonderful category in my opinion. People always got to eat. They're going to need these type of products on a daily basis. So they're always, replenishing a lot of these products, which makes, products for you pretty good replenishables. And so, yeah, when it comes to groceries, even the return rate, you barely can return groceries whatsoever. So the return rate on those are super, super low. Like for every 100 units you sell, you probably get like less than 5 returns, if I'm being honest. Like, that's crazy. Not to mention though, when it comes to groceries, it really is a volume game, to be honest. So unlike apparel and clothing, where you'll need to sell like 1 or 2 products to, make up a certain amount of margin, with groceries, you'll probably have to sell a few, maybe tens, if not maybe 100 units of at least a product to, make up for the same amount. But again, if you're not getting the return rates, the headaches that come with clothing, it kind of makes more sense to be in a category like this because, again, you're not having to worry and deal with customers and really just deal with all that bullshit of returns and all that, right? Now, don't get me wrong, returns do happen every once in a while. I've been in this category, and so it does happen. But I mean, 9 out of 10 times, you don't really have to worry about your margins taking a hit when it comes to this category, okay? Because you're moving so much weight, so much volume, and so you're able to mitigate that risk like that by selling through, a few units. So groceries is great. Like I said, it has, great velocity, great replenishable, history. The profit margins on it are way lower compared to like clothing and whatnot. With clothing and stuff, you can make $20 plus per unit. With groceries, I mean, you can make as low as $1, if I'm being honest. $1, $2, $3. It just really depends. But again, the volume is there. And so, to me, that's worth kind of doing, in my opinion. So yeah, categories like that are different. And so, again, it just really depends on what you want to handle, right? So now let's try a different category, right? Like beauty. Beauty is a mix of both in a way. It just really depends on what you sell. There's obviously high-end beauty products out there, that you can sell for like $50, $60. And then there's the low end where you can sell, $5, $10, $15. It just really depends. So it's really a mix of both. Now, the thing about beauty category though, guys, too, is that you have a higher chance for IP complaints or even the product listings being taken down, okay? At least in my experience. Why? I mean, it just comes down to like the chemicals and stuff that they use in some of these products, and Amazon doesn't like that, okay? And so in this category, you got to be very wary of the products you sell, how deep you can go in them, because at any moment, some of these products can get taken down. I mean, I've had beauty products taken down that out of nowhere just didn't make sense, at least not to me. And so, but again, Amazon has their reasonings. It sucks, but it does happen. So just be very careful in this category for sure. But again, it can be a great category. Return rate is more or less okay. Not better than groceries, but better than clothing apparel, right? So do take that into consideration as well. Because some girls will return their beauty stuff, especially if they don't like the flavor or the shade or whatever it may be, right? I mean, you know how that is. And so, yeah, when it comes to beauty category, just be very careful. Other categories that we can mention, like for books, for example, I've never done books personally, but just, based on my observation, books are very great high margin products, especially if you're very low on capital. Books can really, scale you up as far as margins with profits, because you can buy a book for $1, $2, $5, and literally flip it for like 50, 60, $100. Which sounds great, right? I mean, to a beginner, that sounds like amazing. Like, holy crap, I can turn $5 into, $50 profit or whatever. The thing is with books, though, at least from what I've seen, is that it really comes down to being a volume game, okay? And so while that book can make you that much profit, it may take you a while to sell that book. So if you bought it today, it might take you a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, it could take you up to 2 months to sell just one book. And so, that's one thing to consider too, because we're in a business where, Amazon wants us to sell products, constantly. And the thing about books is that you're not moving them as constant as other categories. And so it's important to think about that because, otherwise you're going to be paying storage fees and whatever other fees Amazon wants to hit you guys with, all right? So just be very careful in this category. I mean, most of the times the margins make up for any fees they hit you with anyways. But still, you don't want that to be affecting your business long term. I think books is a great beginner, method for getting inside Amazon. But long term, I would not want to do books. I mean, from what I've seen, it's a lot of work. And yeah, I don't know if I could justify that much work for selling books. At least not in my opinion, all right? But yeah. And so, a few other honorable mentions, like scientific industrial tools and whatnot. Again, high ASP products, great margins. One thing about these categories specifically compared to the other ones I mentioned previously is that the competition is much lower in these categories versus like groceries, apparel, beauty, and all that. you know. And so if you can get in those categories that nobody really sells, you know, like the boring stuff, uh, dude, you will find some stuff, you will find some margins, and just a lot of products that nobody else is willing to find, right? Especially if you can get, you know, in touch with brands, wholesalers, and whatnot. There is a lot of great potential in these categories if you're willing to put in the work and actually, you know, find some stuff. And so, you know, which is good because I mean, again, these are categories nobody wants to touch. It's high ASP, great margins. The volume, it really depends on what you're selling, right? Most of the times, though, I mean, it can work out. I mean, people, guys especially, always need tools to, you know, work on stuff. So, you know, if you get in the tool category, that's something to think about. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot, right? Another one, electronics. I mean, electronics is pretty good too. Uh, it kind of reminds me of apparel though. High ASP, high margins, return rate is high though too. I mean, electronics, it could be high return rate. I mean, when have you bought something, probably borrowed it and then returned it, right? So yeah, that happens in electronics. So you do got to be very careful with that category as well. Otherwise, you're going to be, you know, really, you know, damaging your profits. So, but yeah, guys, all in all, though, guys, it really comes down to, you know, what you want to handle, the headaches that you want to deal with when it comes to these products. Because I know for me personally, I wouldn't want to deal with like electronics or apparel. Okay, the return rates on those are not worth the headache to me because I hate dealing with returns. You know, one thing I learned in my past previous jobs is that the more you touch the product, the more time and money you are wasting. And if you're getting so many returns selling in those categories that you're having to, you know, touch the product again, inspect it, resend it, relabel it, I mean, that's just more time and money that's going to waste by having to do that process over and over again. Okay, just my 2 cents. If it's working for you, keep at it. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I'm just saying that's not what I would want to deal with, all right? And so that's very important to think about when you're, you know, thinking about what categories you want to sell in, what categories you want to stick with, and just, you know, what you want to grow your business with, okay? So, but yeah, again, just my 2 cents. Don't get offended if, you know, you guys sell in that category or whatever. I just want to deal with it myself personally. But anyways, guys, I think I rambled on too much in this video, but I do hope it did help, you know, you guys think about what categories to sell in, what to consider, and all that good stuff, okay? Because it's very important when you want to build your Amazon business, and especially when you want to focus on what category niche you want to, you know, double down on, because the more niche you can get with your products, guys, the better, okay? So, but anyways, guys, that is it. I will see you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed this one, and peace as always.